Previously, on Mass Effect 3, we had our 38th combat drop. Today, I'd like to talk about love and hate.
Commander, I found something while scanning Alliance channels. It could be important. Grissom Academy is requesting help. The Reaper invasion front will hit them soon.
I thought the war would close most schools.
Grissom Academy is more specialized than a normal school. It's home to some of the smartest students humanity has to offer. Their Ascension project is the best training facility in the galaxy for human biotics.
Yes, I sent a young man named David Archer there. I'm just surprised they're still open.
Some of their work has Alliance support. That might be why they stayed.
What can we do?
A Turian evac transport responded to their distress call, so normally I'd say we don't need to do anything. But something sounded off in the Turian signal. I had EDI perform an analysis. It's fake. EDI thinks it could be Cerberus. She saw some similarities to the faked encryption protocols.
I'll take your word for it.
In any event, whoever faked the signal wants us to think Grissom Academy's being evacuated. But I believe they're still in danger.
Good catch.
If this really is Cerberus, hopefully this operation is something worth investigating. It could be simple disinformation.
Trainer, good catch.
Thank you, Commander.
And there's the folks who answered the distress call. Cerberus cruiser. At least a dozen fighters on blockade duty. Not too many for us in a straight-up fight. They must want this place bad.
Receiving incoming transmission.
Let's hear it.
SSV Normandy, this is Kaylee Sanders, Director of Grissom Academy. We need immediate assistance. Cerberus is attacking the facility. They're after my students.
This is Commander Shepard. We're blocked on a direct approach.
I know. They've taken control of our docking base.
Any alternatives?
There's an auxiliary cargo port I could probably open.
All right. We'll come in by shuttle and get your students out of there. Joker, can you give me a diversion?
Oh boy, can I!
There's a handful of missions in the game that have an expiration date. This is one of them. After the game's halfway mark, this mission is no longer available to take and is considered failed. If we had failed this mission, then much later in the game, we would have encountered one of the characters as a mini-boss enemy. That's kind of boring though, so I won't be doing that.
Keep the shuttle in position. We'll be back.
Commander, I'm locked in a server room around the corner. Cerberus troops are trying to get in.
Sanders, we're clear. It's me.
Commander, thank you. Admiral Anderson always said you were the best. And with Cerberus coming for my students, I need the best.
Kaylee Sanders is a character from the Mass Effect tie-in book series. I understand she has quite the major role in those books. Her appearance here is all about world building, about trying to create a fictional world that's larger than just what we see in any one game or book. Mass Effect 3 can feel claustrophobic at times because we're always bumping into characters from previous games, so Kaylee here can be seen as an attempt to broaden the universe. It's also a way to reward players for buying into the extended universe, a little nod to fans who read up on all the canon, who memorise all the dates and people and battles. Some people have complained about this kind of thing, about BioWare forcibly tying together different parts of their franchise, about story elements that don't make sense unless you've read the extra material. Kaylee Sanders isn't the worst example of this, nor is she the first. I remember some really clumsy writing in Mass Effect 2 about how much Tali and the Quarians hate Cerberus, based on something that happened in the books. Later in the game, we'll encounter another extended universe character that comes in for a lot of criticism. So Kaylee's relatively well accepted by comparison. Personally, I think they're all terrible. And I blame the fans. Somebody reads these books. Somebody buys the tie-in comics and animated films. Somebody updates the Mass Effect wiki with all the links and references between the stories. It's you. You, the people who follow franchises, the people who consume media because it has a little Mass Effect, or Star Wars, or Games Workshop logo stamped on the front cover. And the worst offenders are those who say, I know it's terrible, but if you just want more Mass Effect, that's worst of all, because you know this stuff is crap, and you read it anyway.
Nobody's going to hurt you. The file says we need you alive. But your sister, she bounces. You give us trouble, we'll find her.
There may be more nearby. Play dead until it's safe, then get to Kaylee Sanders in security.
Commander, I just got an emergency message from the students in Orion Hall. One of our instructors is with them, but they can't hold out much longer.
Eat this!
Jack!
Shepard?
The last mission was a spotlight for Grunt. This mission, then, is Jack's turn to shine. I always liked Jack in Mass Effect 2. In practical costume aside, she had really strong art and character direction. You had absolutely no doubt in your mind about what she was, about what she represented as a character. Her association with Cerberus and her criminal background spoke strongly to the themes and sensibility of the game. You had some wonderful camera shots in the conversations with her on the Normandy. She was a deliberately discordant note, someone that added some much needed interpersonal conflict to an ensemble cast. Where someone like Morden is a very subtle challenge to the player, one that I think most players probably didn't notice, Jack's a more direct fuck you, both in attitude and also in how she presents gender. I mean, she's a woman called Subject Zero who prefers the name Jack. Also, she was just fun. A fun character that could swear and be sarcastic and aggressive in a way that the player couldn't. She gets a nice finish to her arc as a slightly unorthodox teacher for gifted biotics who can protect them from what happened to her as a child. And, as expected, it's Shepard she's got to thank for her turnaround.
Fields were weak. Cerberus isn't gonna lie down out of pity like that girl you took to prom.
Not everyone agrees with me though. I'm not talking so much about the cliché psychotherapist romance subplot. Lots of people had a really bad, really negative personal reaction to Jack. I remember a lot of negative discussion about her back in the old Mass Effect 2 threads some time ago. Apparently, hell dumping is against the rules these days. So, instead, I've sourced some quotes from other websites on the internet, and I'd like to read them to you now.
All I care about is getting my guys out of here.
Matt Boy from Game Informer calls her physically unattractive, an unlikable and whiny little chump. Acanis from the Giant in the Playground forums says Jack is a psycho bitch who thinks it's cool to tell you all about what a bad person she used to be. CJ's dog from Game FAQs wants to throw her out a airlock. On hardforum.com, Tybert7 calls Jack a witch, and Morgoth PI describes her as really ugly and an emo bitch. Finally, an anonymous poster on Yahoo Answers writes, "From the moment I met her, I fucking hated Jack. I always told her to chill out, to calm down and to do the right thing. She never fucking listens. I did her goddamn side quest because I felt sympathy for her, not because I had to. I was nice to her with everything, but just one slip up, one goddamn slip up, the stupid argument with Jack and Miranda, where I sided with Miranda because at the time I was trying to romance her, but in the end I ended up romancing Tali." Of course, not every reaction is so negative. Kang, also from hardforum.com, writes, "Don't know why, but I just freaking love Jack. She's hot in a skanky, goth chic kind of way, plus she is one badass biotic. Also dig Miranda, perfect ass, tits and camel toe. You could bounce a dime off that ass. Edie is voiced by Trisha Helfer, better known as Caprica Six, from Battlestar Galactica. Love, love, love that woman. Also like that little slut Kelly, Shepard's assistant. Her little dance in Shepard's cabin is sexy, lol. Also love Tali, can't wait to see her face someday. She's just a little cutie with a great personality and a fine little bod. Samara is also pretty damn hot. Love the way her outfit clings to her, and her story is pretty cool. Having to kill your daughter has got to be tough." The reason I quote these people is not to argue that people should like Jack. If anything, I'm more concerned about people who like characters too much. I'm sure we're all familiar with the obsessives on the BioWare social network. TinySweat.jpg is just the apogee, there's more out there. Even in the thread, there was some weird surprise, some dismay at Rex, Morden, Legion and Grunt being dead. How could you kill off your friends? Let me tell you now, Grunt is not my friend. My friends are real. I work with, drink with, play games with my friends. Grunt is a character in a story. I don't look for friends in stories. Author Claire Massoud gave an interesting answer to an interview question about whether she'd want to be friends with a character she wrote. Her response was, "For heaven's sake, what kind of question is that? Would you want to be friends with Humbert Humbert? Would you want to be friends with Mickey Sabbath, Salim Sinai, Hamlet, Crap, Oedipus, Oscar Wilde, Antigone, Raskolnikov, any of the characters in the Corrections, any of the characters in Infinite Jest, any of the characters in anything Pynchon has ever written, or Martin Amis, or Orhan Pamuk, or Alice Munro for that matter. If you're reading to find friends, you're in deep trouble. We read to find life in all its possibilities. The relevant question isn't, is this a potential friend for me, but is this character alive?"
Everyone be ready.
I appreciate the irony of that last question.
We'll shadow you from the second level and hit those guys from above.
The problem I have with fans, whether they're fans who are really into the lore and setting details, or fans who get all attached to fictional characters, is that they are just so literal. I'm a historian by training, that's my background, and what historians do is we take lots of boring, meaningless little details like what year a battle happened or what food did ancient people eat, these little boring facts, and we turn them into stories. We turn them into stories of why the war was lost and won, or what it was like to be an ancient Roman. Nobody wants to hear a list of kings and how long they reigned, just names and dates, who cares about that? But everybody wants to hear the tale of a dynasty's rise and eventual fall. That's what matters to people, that's intelligible. And it's the same with fiction. A simple recitation of events, whether they're real or made up, just doesn't mean anything. It's just words, symbols, without significance. What makes stories interesting, what makes them into stories that we remember, is their meaning, the concepts or lessons or emotions conveyed by a text. So, as a historian, as someone who likes fiction, it baffles and distresses me to see people take the meaning of stories, the concepts that they attempt to pass along, and take them apart in order to find out the boring little facts of which they are made, treating the story as an opportunity to discover the history of past events or the power level of galactic fleets, a means to fill in more pages on Wikipedia or Memory Alpha. Now, in history, this is fine. Deconstructing secondary evidence is part of the discipline. Sometimes you can pick up on interesting stuff that's been omitted or glossed over. But in stories, there's nothing to find out. It's fiction, it's fake. The boring little facts aren't facts, they're made up. There's nothing to know. But fans will continue to chase down these false details, poke around at the stage backdrops in the hopes of reifying the fiction, of making the universe more real, seem more real. And it's the same with characters. Fans will grow attached to characters, hope for their survival, see their deaths as a disappointment, a failure, a waste. Grunt died in the last video because I edited the save file so that his loyalty mission was incomplete. If we had completed the loyalty mission, Grunt would have survived his battle. He'd have come running up to the shuttle just as we were about to take off. As it was, he didn't, he died. Either way, Grunt is out of the story. He wouldn't show up in the base game except very briefly. Both choices are a conclusion to Grunt's story, but one is seen as valid, perceived to be better or more worthy than the other. Why? It doesn't matter either way. He's not real, he's not really dead, and he's not really alive. It works fine either way. It's just different. But that's not how it's perceived by fans, and this is going to hold true for similar situations later in the game. The death or loss or failure of these fictional characters, this fictional setting, is a bad thing, is unpleasant and unwanted by the fans. And again, it's the same issue. Fans are taking these stories, these characters, and prioritising the literal, treating these stories as documentaries of another time and place, treating these characters as actual beings, as real people with lives beyond the screen. And by doing so, they dismiss or overlook the actual significance of these symbols, because that's what they are, symbols, signifiers. They exist to have meaning. And choosing to discard these meanings in favour of the false literal is, I think, a very immature and childish way to approach a text. And that is just my opinion. That is just my opinion, just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, it's just my opinion. It's just what I think, it's just my opinion. Just my opinion, just my opinion. It's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You should, because I'm right, but it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Nothing else. It's just my opinion. Just the opinion of a man on YouTube. Just the thoughts of a voice on the internet. And who cares what a voice on the internet thinks? Well, you do because you're listening to it. But it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. It's just my opinion. Just the opinion of a voice on the internet. Just an opinion. Just my opinion. Just an opinion on the internet. And it's the right opinion. But I would say that, wouldn't I? It's my opinion. And that's all it is. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion.
He made it quiet.
But fiction is art. Stories are art. They're an abstract cultural product that serves no direct practical use. People tell stories in order to communicate. Now, what they want to communicate depends on the person, but things like setting and characters and plot are tools with which the author conveys meaning, through which the author communicates with the audience. And when audiences become obsessive or focus too much on these tools, the larger meaning, the act of communication, is lost. The signifiers become more important than the signified. It's like looking at a Men at Work road sign and wondering, what does the little man on the sign do after work? Does he have a family? What does he like to eat? And not realising that the sign is simply signifying that there are men at work on the road ahead. There is no more to it than that. Characters and setting and other authorial tools are the same, just on a vastly more sophisticated level. Rex and Legion and Shepard and the Council and the Citadel and the Galaxy are not things in themselves. They are signifiers, reference for a larger idea that BioWare wishes to communicate with us. The desire to see more, or for these things to continue to exist beyond the parameters of the story in an expanded universe, these are false hopes, misleading. And that is the second reason, there are three, the second reason I always laugh when somebody says they love the Mass Effect setting. The setting exists in order to communicate BioWare's ideas. The characters exist in order to communicate BioWare's ideas. They are illusory, benign trickery to facilitate a greater communication. After all, no artist, no author is just going to announce what they want to say. What would be the point? But the illusion being well crafted, to the point that you can forget it is an illusion, a very low bar, is no excuse to abrogate your responsibility to think. There is far more to a story than mere plot or characters, stuff that is far more deserving of attention and thought. Again, another analogy, it's like the icing on a cake. It's the first thing you see, the most appealing, probably the tastiest part, but a cake made out of icing is no cake at all. It's the underlying substance of the story, the themes, the subtext, the motifs and inferences that you need to engage with. The other stuff, the plot and setting, the factual details, just don't matter. Now you're probably thinking, we already know this, you're being very condescending and you don't need to tell us this. But actually, I rather think that I do. In addition to what I've described earlier in the video, I've seen people relieved and enthused by the release of the Mass Effect Happy Ending mod, which I'm sure you'll be happy to know is compatible with the Thane Ending mod. Lead writer Mac Walter's choice to leave an open ending with lots of speculation was almost universally rejected by a fanbase who wanted to know in no uncertain terms what happened next. The Citadel DLC is hugely popular despite saying very little of substance because it spends so much time on the characters. Much of the audience is continually preoccupied with the literality of Mass Effect. They want to know more about the universe, so they buy low-grade fiction to satisfy that itch. They treat the characters as fully realised people, so they want them to be okay, to survive. They ask for escapism, for immersion into an illusory world. This is a waste of the medium. If you don't want to think, to engage with a text, then perhaps consider an activity that truly is mindless, like physical exercise, meditation, recreational drug use.
Thank you, Commander. We'd have never gotten off that station if you hadn't come.
I wasn't joking earlier when I said that this was just my opinion. A lot of this is down to a fundamental difference in philosophy, a question of aesthetics. It's no concern of mine how you want to read a text. You do what you want, same goes for me. But if you're watching these videos you're presumably a little bit interested in how I approach Mass Effect 3. So I'm going to tell you, you will struggle with a critical reading of Mass Effect if you are not willing to discard the setting, the characters, the plot, for the purposes of the story. I mean, God knows how you'd cope with Bakara or Koyaanisqatsi or Gravity's Rainbow or On the Road or Christ, a poem, Jesus. But look, the tighter you cling to these concepts, the harder it is to let them go, to do what they need to do. Sometimes you have to let Grunt die.
Shepard, damned if you aren't a sight for sore eyes.
Good to see you too, sir.
Sir? I may have reinstated you, but that doesn't give you permission to go all formal on me.
Then I'm glad you managed to keep your ass alive, Anderson.
That's more like it. Looks like you didn't waste any time getting to work. I can only imagine what would have happened to those kids if they'd fallen into Cerberus' hands. Hackett has the technically minded students looking at the Crucible. Apparently, David Archer has already given them some ideas.
They're definitely eager to help.
These students are some of the best humanity has to offer, and we're throwing them into battle. God damn it, I hate this war. Hackett didn't mention in his report...
Kaylee Sanders is safe. She's with the recruits.
Thanks, Shepard. When I heard about the attack, well, I've already lost a lot of friends.
She asked me to tell you to stay alive.
Did she now? Well, thanks, Shepard. That might be the first good news I've heard this week. Anderson out.